I think a couple of things. I think I always loved school. I always had great teachers, and I was always the kind of kid who had a bedroom full of books and always loved learning. And I had a seventh grade teacher. I remember she signed in my yearbook one year, you know, "Dear Aaron, please remember me when you're President of the United States one day." And I have no interest in politics, but I think even at that young age, I realized that, you know, that I wanted to do what she did. I wanted to spend my time with kids, and I wanted to give them that same sense of empowerment because she left me with the idea that I could do anything. So I wanted to try and do the same thing. I didn't always want to be a principal. I didn't know that. That was something I detected over time, and I, you know, had a short list in my mind of districts where I wanted to apply when jobs became available, and North Colonie was one. So that was a factor for me. The reputation of the district, the reputation for excellence, for being involved in the community, and for service. All those things I was drawn to. And then when it came to Latham Ridge, just hearing about how people felt about working here and how they felt working for J. Martin and how they felt respected and treated as professionals and felt as though their judgment was valued, and I felt like I could be someone who could not only continue that, but, you know, use that as a starting off point, jumping off point for even you know, bigger and better things. My wife and I joke that we live in a house of books. My kids, you know, at a young age already have books coming out of every corner and things like that. We always go to the library and, you know, take the kids to story hour and things like that. And I've also developed a sustained relationship with the Capital District Writing Project, which is a teachers organization that believes that the teaching of writing is foundational to student learning. And by doing a lot of my own writing and reflection, it's helped keep me sharp as an educator. So definitely that's a passion for me. We have to have the ability to adapt very quickly, I think, and that is a definite challenge. I think that the skills that we may have relied on in the past as educators either no longer apply or have changed. I think we have to be able to manage large amounts of information with regard to the content that we teach and the mandates that we're trying to navigate. And I think a big challenge is always trying to embed in everything that we do an ability for adults to keep learning about teaching, and also, though, not to lose sight of the fact that we're involved in a very human enterprise and we're dealing with people every single day, and that can be a challenge when you're trying to navigate new requirements and mandates, you know, all the time, to remember that this is a profoundly human enterprise. You have to listen to and trust teachers and families, because they're the ones who are going to tell you how the mandates are affecting the kids, because as a principal, you try and get out of the office, you try and get in rooms as often as you can, but you can't be everywhere at once. So what I'm hoping to foster here is the sense with the teachers that I work with, you know, that I trust them, that I know that they make sound professional decisions, and I think with the families that I'll listen and hear what people have to say. And I think if you don't have trust at the center of it, any of the positive outcomes that we're hoping to see from these new policy norms could get lost, or maybe it's not as sustainable as we're hoping that it could be. You know, even though the policy environment can be uncertain or changing, I've noticed that teachers here are definitely up for the challenge, and I would list that, you know, as a definite success. You know, I think with kids, you're always looking for growth, and whether you're in the classroom or you're in an administrative position, the exciting thing is that you get to see that. You know, in the classroom, you really get to see, you know, how they grow with regard to math, reading, writing, and all those things. And I think as an administrator, you might not see that on a day-to-day basis, but you do get to see how kids change over time, or maybe more about how they mature or how their approach to school changes. Well, I think that one of the things I've noticed is that Latham Ridge has maintained its sense of really being a community school, you know, or the happy school as it's sometimes known. Definitely has traditions and things that are in place that are going to keep rolling even though there's a new principal. So one success I would say is, keeping that sense of community. I think that the kids have extended a warm welcome to me, and I don't really think that has anything to do with me, but it just speaks to their overall character and the fact that they like being here at this school, and that's something that I'm hoping will continue. So I think that the best piece of advice with regard to education has come from one of my colleagues that I taught with closely, and that is knowing when to let certain things go. Always keeping your focus on what's important for the kids, what they need to learn, what they need to be able to do, but also knowing when to exercise your professional judgment and say, you know what, these kids need to be on the playground right now because they need to blow off steam. You have to trust yourself and trust your instincts, because working with kids all day gives you a certain amount of authority and wisdom, and you have to exercise that. I have something that's written down in a schedule on paper, but a professional exercises a different decision in that situation because they know that's what that group of kids needs at that particular moment. So it is always a balance, but I would say more often than not, though, from what I found in my short time here, is that people do their best at all times to maximize instructional time. Best part of my day is anytime I get to have interactions with kids and with teachers. Even in those situations where you go into the cafeteria and it's a little noisy and raucous, if you get to have a conversation with a kid, if you get to have an observation in a classroom, I always find that to be inspiring and energy giving, and even though I've stepped out of the classroom, I always steal ideas from that teacher. So anytime you can remain connected to kids and to the classroom and all the people that work with them, that drives me.